To hear from team president over at Joe Gibbs Racing, JD Gibbs. And congratulations on the win today, JD. Denny Hamlin races the number 11 FedEx Express Toyota to victory lane. That gives you two drivers into the chase right now, and certainly Matt Kenseth.
We have three drivers, just in case.
I know you do. I know you did. But anyhow, congratulations. I know it's got to be a big boost for the 11 car and certainly for the whole organization here winning at this track here today.
Yeah, and the thing about Talladega, you don't know what's going to happen. You have great cars, but it just takes a lot to make you win the race. And so Denny had a great game plan, and I think it all worked out. I would have loved for Matt to be able to finish better, and Kyle had a good race. But it's just a lot of it's out of your control. At the same time, Denny kind of knows what he needs to do, and he did a good job today in the race.
Questions for JD? We'll take them all the way in the back. We'll go with Don, and we'll go with Jeff, and then to Tom.
JD, Don Coble with Morris News Service. After everything Denny's been through in the last couple of years, is it kind of nice to see him get a fortunate bounce or whatever you want to call it, that have something good?
Yeah, it's very nice. And so I think he needed it so bad. He's a great competitor, but that win really helped a lot of the past issues get put behind him. And so we were really happy for him to win the race today.
Let's go to Jeff Gluck in the middle and then over here to Tom. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. Obviously, along the same lines with everything he's been through, even this season hadn't really been what he had hoped for, what you guys had hoped for as far as his performance.
Right.
What's your level of confidence that this could kind of jumpstart things and for the summer and the chase and beyond?
I think Denny really operates a lot of momentum, and I think this will really help out our case for 2014. And so he's just a great leader. He's a great driver, but he has to have that confidence. I think he has it now.
Let's come over here to Tom, and then we'll go to Bob.
Thank you. JD, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. How gut-wrenching are these races for you as an owner? Seeing on the one hand one of your guys win, on the other hand one of your cars torn up, and I guess you had one or two torn up yesterday too. How tough? What are your emotions here?
A lot of Talladega and Daytona, it's kind of out of your hands. And so really you just kind of hope the Lord has a good plan for you, and today he did. And yesterday he did. You hate it for Darrell Wallace, Matt Kenseth today. But that's kind of the way it's always been here at Talladega and Daytona. So a lot of it's out of your control. But I think our guys have a great game plan and executed well today.
Let's go to Bob Pockris and then to Stan Creekmore. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. It kind of seemed like after Daytona he would have a lot of momentum. He had such a good run and finished second. Is there something about where that team is at now that you think they might be able to capitalize on it more than not being able to do it after Daytona?
I just think it's, a lot goes into a team, and so I think they have a great crew chief. Darian does a good job, a great pit crew, a bunch of leaders on the team. They've just been through a lot. So I think that can either drive you away from each other or really bond you. I think those guys really bonded a lot. And I'm proud of what they did today, and hopefully have a great rest of the season.
JD, Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. They've asked you about the wrecks, but how great does a weekend feel? You're taking home 2 wins.
I know.
There's a lot of positive to this, is there not?
It feels really good. And the hard part at Talladega and Daytona, a lot's out of your control. And so our guys do a great job, and so it's just hard to do. You get guys that haven't won before or win here at Talladega, and you get guys that won a lot. It's just a lot has to fall into place, and I think our guys have a great game plan for the rest of the season.
Other questions for JD? Anybody? Well, JD, thanks for coming by. We appreciate it, and congratulations for a really strong weekend here at Talladega with the win yesterday with Elliott Sadler and the win today with Denny Hamlin.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, let's hear now from our race winner. That's Denny Hamlin. Excuse me. He drives the number 11 FedEx Express Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's joined by his crew chief, Darian Grubb. Denny's 24th win in 300 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races. And your first win at 2:14 virtually gets you into the chase. And I know that's a...
Can you guarantee that?
Denny, I'm going to say that you'll be in the chase.
Okay. Thanks.
But congratulations on that. Your first points win at a restrictor plate race. You've won 4 non-points races at Daytona, but this has to be, and JD was in here earlier talking about how you're kind of a driver that thrives on momentum, but this has to be a big, big moment for you.
Yeah, it is. We're, kind of been preaching and beating up, how we are on all the other racetracks. Coming to this racetrack, that it's an equalizer and you've got as good a shot as anyone. So you've got to take advantage of these moments and these type of racetracks when you feel like you're a little bit off on the others. And so we were able to do that today, and now it buys us some time to get our program where it needs to be for September when it really counts.
And Darian, congratulations on this win here today. JD said that you guys ran a real smart race, and you kind of were there early on, and then certainly there on the money laps there towards the end, the 11 car was running up front. Just talk about the strategy that goes into winning a race like this.
A lot of it just gets set in place with Denny and I's conversation before. We just basically said we wanted to get up front because that's the safest place you can be. And if not, you have to be at least in contention and towards the front midway through the race, because it's hard to make it through the pack when it's 2 and 3 wide the whole time. Pit strategy can only get you so much, but have to give a lot of credit to the pit crew. It's 2 days in a row that they've put a driver in the 11 car at Joe Gibbs Racing in Victory Lane. They were flawless, did an awesome job, and I can't thank them enough.
Okay, we'll take questions for Denny Hamlin. We'll start up in the press box. I think there's a question from the press box. Go ahead.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Denny, to kind of elaborate on what JD said a few minutes ago, he said of this win, he said, it is very nice. And he said, and Denny needed this one. And he talked about you're a momentum type guy, and his indication was that he feels like this could be sort of the springboard over this period where it seemed like you couldn't buy a break and really jumpstart you guys and get you going. He thought pretty much, pretty quickly. How much, and he talked about confidence for you. I mean, how much, once this is settled in and you leave here and it sinks in, how much do you think this really will be kind of getting you over things that have been bugging you probably for more than a year, just nagging at you?
Yeah, we kind of missed out on some opportunities to have good finishes over this last month or so. I was honestly really looking forward to California. I felt like we had one of the best cars in practice, and didn't get to run that event. And after that, we've had some bad luck between Darlington and Richmond and Texas, where we were all we were in top 10 contention, top 5 contention, and just I made some pretty bad mistakes 2 weeks in a row, and then obviously last week getting wrecked at the very end. But those are momentum crushers. Those things can really bug you. And I sent an email. We had an email chain with myself and Darian and Wheels talking about we're willing to do whatever it takes to make this better, because it's very frustrating to run top 10 and top 5 all day, and we've been finishing right around 20th for 3 weeks in a row. So that really can take its toll on the team. Morale can get down very easy when you run great for 480 miles and you blow it all away in the last 20. And so I was responsible for some of that and trying to take responsibility for it. And so a win like this kind of makes you forget all those things, and it obviously gives you a clean slate for the rest of the summer to start over. So We don't have to hit the panic button at this point. Now we can just focus on working on our program, doing whatever it takes to get ourselves in contention where we're a top 5 car every week, because that's what it's going to take to win the championship. So this is a good moment for us. It definitely is. Even though it is a super speedway and it's all circumstantial, it at least lets us rest a little bit easier here for a while.
Any other questions in the press box? We're good. Let's go Bob Pockers and then Stan Creekmore.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. For both of you, it seemed like you guys had a lot of momentum coming out of Daytona and couldn't capitalize on it. What maybe is different now that you think maybe you can capitalize on the momentum from this win?
It was a little different then because you're heading to other tracks where we had worked pretty hard on our program coming into this season with the new setups and everything else. And we really didn't know what we needed to do to compete. But we were a little off for those first 3 races for sure. And we were learning every week. We made the goal of if we can't win, we at least have to come out with lessons learned every week so we can get better as we go along. And now that we have the win now, it gives us the momentum we have now is we can actually go and try things at the racetrack a little bit more free. We can work on the things we know we need to work on, and if the setup doesn't work one week as we try to get better, it's not going to kill us in where we're at in points. So it gives us a little bit more freedom. We've tested our butt off for the last couple of months, and we've learned a lot of things. We think we're getting better. We got good things coming down the line, so hopefully we can just keep all those things rolling and get the momentum built up before the chase starts.
Do you want Denny to answer that too?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing that he said. We have improved, and it's been tough to get momentum because obviously, we ran pretty decent at Bristol and had some decent other runs, and then all of a sudden California, and we had to sit out. It takes all your momentum, and it just goes away because I was pretty optimistic we would have a great day at California. So, I mean, between having to sit that out and then having to, go through these last 3 weeks of, running better but finishing worse than where we were running all day, it's also a momentum killer. So you got to just, now that we have a win, we don't have to hit the panic button or press too hard to get a win to get into the chase. Now we feel like now we need to be consistent, work on our program, just continue to keep our heads down and work on things. And momentum comes with good results. And so results come when you have fast race cars and you don't make mistakes. And so, I just found myself pressing a few times when I sped on pit road those two weeks ago because I felt like I wasn't going to be able to get it done on the racetrack. I had to do it on pit road and really, wasn't smart in that sense. And so we continue to work on our cars and get them faster. My pit crew's fast enough to do the work on the pit road, and it's going to lead to multiple wins and give us all the momentum we can handle.
Go to Stan and then to Jenna. Go ahead.
Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. I'm not sure which of you can answer the first part of this question, but which of you knew first that the caution flag was waving, and then for both of you, how relaxing or just how wonderful did it make you feel to know you didn't have to fight for the checkered flag?
It was, for me, I was really coming off turn 4, and I knew once we got single file on the bottom, I think I was the clear, the 16 was clear, I was in really good shape. I knew from Daytona that you wanted to be out front. As long as you could mirror drive a little bit, I would much rather be on the defensive than I would the offensive in the last few lap situation. So my goal was just to get to that white flag. I knew I had to, and once I saw he said that they were spinning right as I crossed the line, I said, no problem. I hope it jams the racetrack up for all I care and throw the caution immediately. But I think NASCAR did actually a really good job of letting the race play out as long as they possibly could and still keep everyone safe in the conditions. And so they knew that there was debris at the start-finish line, so we weren't going to be able to race all the way back no matter what. but they at least gave it, everyone a half a lap to do whatever you could to make your positions and improve your position. So obviously made for a decent finish from my standpoint. But I think either way, no matter what, whether we had to go to the line or there, we were in pretty good shape.
Honestly, I didn't know the caution was coming out until our spotter, Chris, said it on the radio. At that point, we knew we had crossed the white. Once we crossed the white, like Denny, I had a big sense of relief of even if the caution did come out, we were okay. And at that point, we just wanted to make sure we had enough fuel in it to get back to the start-finish line. And it was just a good moment all around because they were able to actually sit and relax and think as he's coming through 3 and 4 and watch him win the race and celebrate a little bit instead of having to be bare-knuckled getting to the line.
Jenna?
Jennifer, AP, 2 questions for you, Denny. Biffle laments not having made a move on you and said he wished he'd known that he wasn't going to race, that he thinks he would have passed you for the lead. Do you win this race without the caution?
I thought so. I mean, I've been in these situations at Daytona, and I was the second car with Junior in the 500, and you can't pass them. Really, as long as you block that guy's line, and really when they're coming and you can anticipate it, it's tough. This aero package is really tough to pass without getting a big push and multiple cars on the outside of you for help. So I was, he probably was going to back off and get a run, but if he did that, I was going to back up right to him. So it was going to be tough. I liked where we were at, and trust me, if we went to the finish, I still would have rather had my position than his.
And this race last year is where you got back in the car for the first time. I'm wondering, for both of you, if you can talk about what changes have you guys experienced in the year? Maybe for you personally, Denny, and then Darian, the race team as a whole.
Well, I mean, it seems like it's been so long ago, but, I typically always try to look to see how I finished or how I did in that particular week leading into an event, how I did last year. And obviously, the schedule got shifted around a little bit, so it's a little bit different. But, I only got to run just a handful of laps here last year. But really, it was a tough weekend for us last year, simply because, we were trying to get some points and trying to get ourselves in contention. And really, at no fault of his own, Brian got caught up in a wreck. And, it's kind of a tough deal for us, obviously, last year. And as soon as I came back, we had 2-3 races of really good things, and then it just went downhill from there. So, we still haven't got to our 2012 performance, I guess you could say. I mean, 13 started really good, and we got in that deal with Joey and got injured. And then really the last part of last year, and we got the win at Homestead, but never really got back to where we were top 5 every week like we were in 10 and 12. And we still aren't there, but we're slowly gaining on it. I mean, literally like a half a position every single week, we're getting better. And so I'm pretty confident by the time the chase rolls around in September, we'll have all the parts and pieces available to us to have a very fast race car and have a car that can contend for a championship. But even though we've had 2 wins since, we still aren't at that level that we were. So we know we've got to work hard to get there. And a lot of it is we've had a Generation 6 car change. I haven't been as competitive in the Generation 6 car as I was with the old car. So there's some driving things that I've got to start doing different. Restarts have been killing me here lately. Got to get more aggressive on those. And so it's just going to take a little time to get better.
No, you pretty much covered it all there. The team momentum, I think, was really good mid-season when he came back, and we were loving it. But then as the season wore on, when we weren't really performing to our potential, and we knew Denny was still hurting and some other things too, where we kind of struggled a little bit, it was nice at the end of the season at least to get that momentum back. We had all of our hopes set on making the chase, and then when we didn't, that kind of let the steam out of our sails for the rest of the season. But being able to get back on track and win at Homestead and have the really good start to this season with Daytona was great. And then we realized we still were behind. We can't just rest on laurels. We're having to work pretty hard to get caught back up.
All right, we'll take Don Coble next. Okay. All right, if we can get a microphone over here.
Yeah, Denny, right here next. George Diaz, Orlando Sentinel. Congratulations on the victory. It's human nature to let kind of self-doubt creep in. This season, were you fighting that, or were there moments when you kind of did question yourself as to what direction you were heading in?
Not really. I mean, we've been, because we've raced okay the last month and a half. Our results look horrible, but we've raced okay, and I know that we've got some improvements to make in a lot of different areas, and I've got to improve. So I would actually took a little solace in knowing that we were being decently competitive over these last month or so with what I felt like was a 10th place car. So even though really I've only been healthy for the however many races we've had this year, like he said, when we didn't make the chase last year, it was pretty much like they have in sports. They have letdown games. We had the last 12, 13 races were all let down for us because we had nothing to race for. And so it was that part was tough. And so we come into this year, and I feel good. And I feel like our performance was okay. We started off Daytona pretty well. But what concerned me the most is how we've been running on the short tracks, knowing that that's really my forte and what I'm particularly good at. So that part's a little frustrating, but you've got to get better. You got to go to work. When you can't just stay on top and think that you're going to outdrive these guys week in, week out. You got to work and continue to improve yourself. So I wasn't ever worried, but you do get a little bit more panicked when it's a win or chase race and you're in, or win a race and you're in. So you see all these guys logging wins, and next thing you know, you're like, well, they're running out of chase spots. And so now we can, be a little bit more relaxed. And this is kind of like, where we were in probably 2010. We won a handful of races, and even 12. We won some races with Darian, and really we got to run the whole summer months trying different things and improving our cars, and that's when we really made our chase runs, is when we had the entire summer to not worry about fighting to get in the chase, and hopefully that all pays off for us again.
All right, we'll take our next question from Mai. Okay, go ahead, Gary.
Jay Busby, Yahoo Sports. Back over here, Denny. You're starting to tick off races off of the career wins list. Do you feel like you've gotten more of a handle on Talladega now, or do you just feel like your number happened to come up right this time around?
I don't know. I mean, I think we've gotten a lot better, for sure. I think I drive super speedway races a lot different than I used to, for sure. I'm not always the guy making the move now. I'm more the, staying in line and trying to be patient and, just do whatever the line I'm in is going to do. So, that's where I think our success has started to ramp up on super speedways, and we really, kind of come into our own. And I feel like this particular aero package with the Generation 6 car kind of lends itself to whatever technique I'm using as well. So I think that's all. It's taken, for gosh sakes, after 9 years, you would think I've come close to winning one. But, I don't think it's just random, especially after what we did in Daytona. I think it's a lot of, the different patience and different things I've learned just with experience.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
Mike Neff from FrontStretch.com, behind the cameras. Denny, you kind of covered most of my question, but you came out of the gates in 2006 for your first full season and won the very first non-points race on a plate track. But it's been, like you said, 9 years since then. Did it require you to change that methodology to finally score that first points one, or is it just truly a matter of the stars lining up?
Yeah, similar to my last answer, but I think that I've gotten better. I've come close. When you drive as aggressive as I drove early in my career on super speedways, you're going to have a huge risk, huge reward. I was either wrecking or finishing in the top 3 every single super speedway race, and it was wrecking most of the time. So I think that this way of driving and the way I'm doing things now kind of lends itself to being a little bit more consistent on these type of racetracks. And really, you learn from the guys that are good at it. And my teammates are really, really good at it. And you look at their performance on super speedways, and you just study and watch them and see what they do. And a lot of times, they're not the aggressors. They're the ones who, like I said, stay in line and make sure that they have a car at the end of the race. Where I think earlier in my career, I was the one trying to make moves and trying to make holes, and that typically got me in trouble.
All right, let's go back to Don, please.
Denny, Don Coble back here with Morris News Service. Among drivers, is there kind of an unwritten rule or an unwritten code about where you should be in traffic when you're 5 laps down? And I know it's not written down, but is there an understanding that you don't get up and mess up everybody else's day?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to do that. I mean, there's no reward to doing anything like that. You got to have things line up, and if you're multiple laps down, if I were multiple laps down Super Speedway, I'd probably just hang out behind the pack and hope to not be in a wreck. That would be the only way I can improve my position by the end of the day, is that hope that the big pack gets in a wreck and guys are taken out, and then I can move up the standings that way. There's not really a rule or anything about it. Anyone can do anything they want, but typically if you're racing guys, if guys are racing you really hard that are multiple laps down, you kind of just wonder why. But I mean, it's anybody can do whatever they want to do.
All right, any additional questions for Denny? Any questions upstairs?
If what? I can't afford them.
All right. Denny, Darian, congratulations on today's win.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Ask Jimmy, Jeff, or Dale. They're the only ones with enough cash.